If you had a smartphone and you were talking to your friend on your smartphone on the beach, and one of your friends decided they wanted to go into an underwater cave next to the beach, with our technology you could keep communicating with your friend when they go underwater and even when they're in the cave. If they were searching around to find Nemo or an octopus or other interesting sea creatures, we take one tiny component of the electromagnetic wave. It's the magnetic bit, which is actually also in the back of most smartphones as NFC. And we've changed our design to allow that system to be optimized so we can communicate over relatively long ranges through water, also communicate straight through the water-air boundary. How are we going to hand over the world to our children and our grandchildren in a better place?
You're listening to Bite-Sized Climate Tech, Season 4. Let's dive in.
Time to make climate cool again.
Today, the CEO of Ocean Information Service, Brendan Hyland here, and he's an engineer and serial entrepreneur. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Today I'm very excited because we're going to talk about this concept called magnetic field.
Magnetic fields are part of electromagnetic fields. Electromagnetic fields are the technology behind radio, conventional radio that we use for Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. But magnetic field is one component of that. But we use the magnetic field to communicate through water and through the water-air boundary, which is quite an unusual thing.
So what I understand is the waves, it's easier to transmit it above water. The normal distance is only several centimeters.
So if you take, for example, a smartwatch like an Apple Watch, it will communicate using Bluetooth 1 or 2 centimeters underwater. It clearly communicates much further in air, but it's very difficult for conventional radio or electromagnetic waves to communicate in water. And what we do is we take one tiny component of the electromagnetic wave. It's the magnetic bit, which is actually also in the back of most smartphones as NFC. And we've changed our design to allow that system to be optimized so we can communicate over relatively long ranges through water. And a big benefit of this technology is it also communicates straight through the water-air boundary. So I can have a smartphone or an equivalent device with our technology underwater and talk directly with someone above water.
You amplify the field from several centimeters to tens of meters, right? It's like...
That's exactly right, yes. So we've designed the device so we can communicate through tens of meters of seawater and then also communicate through the water-air boundary. So we can have, for example, a sensor at the seabed, and we can use a drone to talk to that sensor at the seabed when the drone is flying overhead.
How would you explain this to an 8-year-old?
If you had a smartphone and you were talking to your friend on your smartphone on the beach, and one of your friends decided they wanted to go into an underwater cave next to the beach, with our technology you could keep communicating with your friend when they go underwater and even when they're in the cave. If they were searching around to find Nemo or an octopus or other interesting sea creatures.
If you're an 8-year-old, you're trying to help your friend to find Nemo because you have this technology.
We can go out, lots of friends can go out and search around underwater in lots of caves, in all of the seagrass, and once you find them, you can get on your phone and say, hey, I found Nemo.
Yes, your friend can even just sit at home to get ready to welcome Nemo back, because you can send a drone to above the water boundary, right?
That's right, yeah. So the drone can fly above the water with its camera and look down, and our special magnetic radio can communicate from underwater straight up to the drone and allow that communication then to go back into a normal smartphone.
Yes, so that's mission accomplished in the 8-year-old edition. And then why did you decide to work in climate?
We're working in climate because it's such an important part of society. 70% of the world is the oceans, and a really big problem with the oceans is we can't communicate wirelessly in the oceans effectively, especially in shallow water. That's the most difficult place to communicate. And our technology is particularly good at communicating in those shallow water environments so we can monitor sea life. So, for example, we've used our devices to deploy environmental monitoring systems in mangroves and seagrasses to allow long-term monitoring for scientists to learn how to best manage and maintain these very, very important environments.
That's why your company operates in this field. You personally, What inspired you to come to work in the climate field?
What's really inspiring us to work in the climate field is we need to hand the world to our children in a better place than when we came along. And at the moment, we're not doing a particularly good job. So we've got to work really hard over the next couple of decades. I've always been interested in the environment, but there was a particular moment when I realised that this technology was especially good for environmental monitoring, for monitoring water quality and to monitor biodiversity, but we're also using the technology. I get excited by it because we can change the world for the better using these technologies. That's what excites me.
Next segment is you're going to answer a question from a previous guest. His question is, if you could change one thing about policy to help climate, what would it be?
It would be to accelerate the decrease in the use of hydrocarbons, oil and gas in our society.
And then you're going to pass a question for the next guest too.
How are we going to hand over the world to our children and our grandchildren in a better place than it is today?
It's a very big question.
It is.
Okay. For us to be hopeful for the future, I always ask my guests on season 4 to leave a sentence of hope. What keeps you optimistic about the future?
Ultimately, people do try to do the right things. And I'm genuinely enthused by the pace of advancement of technology to allow us to do things that we couldn't do before. And that includes significantly improving the environment we live in.
That humanity always wins. Technology also will advance.
Technology is a tool that helps humanity to achieve what it wants.
Great. I love this.
Let's make climate cool again.
Bye-bye. Yeah. Mission accomplished. This is a bite-sized climate.